Okay, there is a disturbing new piece in The Atlantic by Barton Gellman called The Election That Could Break America. This is red alert stuff. This is not a rehearsal. Okay. This piece explains the plan that the Trump campaign has put together to bypass election results if Donald Trump loses. They have a plan for how to subvert the election results if Joe Biden were to win. And if we merely ignore it, we're not going to be prepared. So this is really the stuff of nightmares. Now, I'm going to explain the idea to you. The idea is the following. Trump choosing electors in battleground states, regardless of who wins the state, so that they will vote for Donald Trump at the electors convention. OK, this is based on what some call a technicality. Normally, the popular vote in a state determines which electors go to D.C. to cast their ballots. So if Joe Biden wins Michigan, pre-selected Democratic electors go to D.C. and they say Michigan pledges our electoral votes for Joe Biden. The idea here is even if Biden wins Michigan, some Republican strategists and lawyers are saying, even if Biden wins Michigan, Donald Trump could say there was fraud in Michigan. We are going to send the Republican electors to D.C. instead of the Democratic electors, even though supposedly Biden won Michigan, because I believe that there was fraud. That's the idea. Now, the immediate reaction from a normal person would be, how the hell do you justify it? And indeed, the justification is fraud. Their explanation would be, we believe there was voter fraud. We don't really believe Biden won Michigan, as an example. So because Trump actually won, Trump is going to select Republican electors to go to D.C. and represent Michigan. The Atlantic explains that, quote, Trump would ask state legislators to set aside the popular vote and exercise their power to choose a slate of electors directly. The longer Trump succeeds in keeping the vote count in doubt, the more pressure legislators will feel to act before the safe harbor deadline expires. A Trump campaign legal advisor spoke to The Atlantic for this story and said that the goal would be for state legislatures to say, we've been given this constitutional power. If they don't think the results of their state are accurate, or if they're willing to at least suspend disbelief in order to help Trump, they could say, we are overriding the elector choices and we're sending Republican electors to Washington, D.C. The chair of the Pennsylvania Republican Party, Lawrence Tabas, also spoke to The Atlantic and said, quote, I've mentioned it to them and I hope they're thinking about it too, referring to this strategy. They are looking at these strategies. This is just one idea. We've talked, the more pedestrian and obvious ideas are having an army of lawyers descend on states at midnight on November 3rd. Well, technically, it would be midnight November 4th at the end of Election Day. And the idea of the Red Mirage scenario would be because of early in-person voting by Trump voters, at midnight at the end of Election Day, Trump might have a slight lead in some states. However, if all the absentee ballots were to be counted, those leads might evaporate in favor of Joe Biden. The idea would be you have lawyers descend on states at midnight to say, stop counting absentee ballots, making different legal arguments in different states. So this is not a joke. They are prepared. I've said it before. If Trump loses, I do believe he will eventually leave. But here are ways he can try to claim he didn't actually lose, either by preventing votes from being counted, claiming he won, and sending in different electors. Trump's legal teams are laying the groundwork for all of these strategies now. We've read that Joe Biden and the Democratic Party are also lawyering up, but are they going to be ready? And one of the difficulties is when you're playing offense, you only need to come up with one strategy the defense isn't prepared for and deploy it. When you're playing defense, you have to anticipate every strategy in order to be prepared for it. And that's why this is so dangerous. What if it's simply not definitive come Election Day? Well, Julian Zelizer, who teaches history and public affairs at Princeton, says to The Atlantic that, quote, we are not prepared for this at all. We talk about it, some worry about it, and we imagine what it would be, but few people have actual answers to what happens if the machinery of democracy is used to prevent a legitimate resolution to the election. Our democracy would be dead if Trump succeeds at this. If we fail, this is what happens. Republicans are making it clear. If they don't win by democracy, they will win despite democracy. They will subvert democracy. As David Frum said, if conservatives become convinced that they cannot win democratically, they will abandon conservatism and they will reject democracy. And by the way, it is not lost on me that this is part of why they want to rush to replace Ruth Bader Ginsburg. That could end up being a factor. We are really up against it here. And it is just as appalling how Republican supporters, Republican voters, are so entrenched in their team sport mentality that they, by and large, are standing by as Donald Trump develops these strategies, as long as they reject the libs, right? That's the point. They will accept blatant corruption. They will stand aside as democratic values, not capital D, lowercase d, democratic values are dismantled, and they will let Trump do whatever the hell he wants. We are up against it, my friends. Let me know what you think. I'm on Twitter at @Pakman. One of our sponsors today is Hydrant, and they're giving my audience 25% off your first order. Hydrant has been great for me. It's this delicious electrolyte powder made with real fruit juice. You mix it into water for great tasting rehydration with low sugar, packed with electrolytes, but way more cost effective than those high sugar sports drinks. Comes in flavors like lime, fruit punch, orange, mango. They have no sugar varieties, which come in lemonade and pink grapefruit. They also have a new product line called Immunity, which adds vitamins B, C, and D. And they have a version with caffeine if you're looking for that type of boost. Staying hydrated helps my focus and keeps my energy up. And Hydrant has been a great way for me to do that as part of my daily routine. They have a full refund guarantee if you're not satisfied, and you'll get 25% off your first order when you go to drinkhydrant.com/Pakman, or just enter the code Pakman at checkout. I've put the link right underneath this video.